Welcome to the art vlog, art lovers. We're back at the National Gallery, in my case for the first time since I visited that wonderful Raphael show back on Good Friday 2022. Do check out the vlog because the Raphael show is on until the end of July, so you've still got time to come and see it if you haven't already. Today though is something very, very different. I'm going to see a very intimate free show which faces off that great French classical master Ingres against the modern radical experimentalist, or modernist should I say, radical experimentalist Pablo Picasso. So come and join me as I head inside the National Gallery to review this show. Oh wow. The minute you enter, you're struck by the equity and size of the paintings and of the pose. It's like looking into some very distorted mirror. And then my mind whizzed straight to the art history. The Ingres portrait of Madame Moitessier was commissioned by the sitter's husband, Monsieur Moitessier. And he originally wanted it to also include their child, who was going to be 3 and sitting on the mother's lap. However, this painting took Ingres 12 years to complete. Monsieur Moitessier got so infuriated that that Ingres had to bash off another portrait, this one, of the same person, which is currently at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., and in my opinion is an inferior version. He kept wanting to keep working on this original portrait. Why? Why did it obsess him so much? Well, partly he was an older man struck by his young sitter's beauty, but there's also an air of mystery in her inscrutable expression. In some ways as well, it's a bit of an outlier. Ingres was a painter of line. Think of the Balpincon bather at the Louvre, which you can see here. The precision of line is very, very different, as you can hopefully see in this picture, compared to that of Madame Moitessier. So it, to me, is a bit of an outlier. Then we're drawn to the Picasso, Woman with a Book. He painted this in 1932, that seminal year. But he'd actually seen the Moitessier portrait at an Ingres retrospective in 1921, the first time that painting had been seen in public. So Picasso ruminated for 11 years before producing his response. But what a response! The figure is his lover, Marie-Thérèse. So again, we have the symmetry of a much older master painting a much younger woman. And the face is even more inscrutable than the Ingres portrait. Wow. We know that Picasso, for all his reputation as a radical disruptor, was a keen student of that prime classicist Ingres. And then the paintings draw you in and get you to look more closely. We were able to compare how both artists used the mirror to show a different perspective on the woman they were painting a portrait of. And look at how strange and distorted that perspective that Picasso uses is. Clearly a riff on the Ingres painting that he loves so much. We see that Moitessier is holding a decorative fan, something you might expect from a woman of her status in the century she was living. However, Picasso has replaced that fan with a book. Is that a comment perhaps on the emancipated status of women at the time when Picasso was painting? We're able to admire the stunning dress that Moitessier is wearing. And this is really interesting. This floral dress was originally going to be yellow. And it was a very plain yellow dress, but fashions changed. And so Ingres insisted on changing this quite late on in the portrait's history. And it's incredible because the dress, in a way, and the patterns and the florals is the thing that really draws your eyes and dominates the picture. And obviously the dress, although still very colourful on the Picasso portrait, is nowhere near as dominating, nowhere near the central thing that draws you in. You see tiny details like this little cherub blowing a kiss on Moitessier, potentially Ingres showing his love for the sitter. And you can't help but compare the plain background of the Picasso with the much more opulent background of the Ingres. And I found out that Ingres even designed the frame which this painting sits in. Look at it, it's beautiful. And this tells us how much this picture must have meant to him, that this opulent frame was designed by the artist himself. Incredible. Some highlights there from the magnificent face-off between Ingres, Madame Moitessier, and Picasso's woman with a book. It's wonderful to have these two pictures together. It was a really compelling piece of art history. Seeing the classical portrait of Ingres against this incredible modernist masterpiece. The Picasso is really interesting because it was produced of his lover Marie-Thérèse, as I said, in 1932. I don't know if you remember, but the Tate did an epic show from Picasso 1932, and it didn't have this picture in. The Norton Simon collection in Pasadena obviously didn't lend it, but they have lent it this time, and it's in London. And in a way, it's even more special, facing off against the painting which inspired it. Picasso saw the Ingres painting back in the 1920s, I think it was, in Paris at a retrospective. He ruminated on it and sat on it for over a decade before producing his response. And what I love about the response is it is both confrontational and also deeply respectful as well. I would say that obviously this is a very busy show, but the fact was that people were coming and going. I spent about half an hour in there. It's only two pictures, but in some ways that made it even better, because sometimes in these mammoth retrospectives, which I do love, you end up feeling pressured to just sort of go from piece to piece to piece to piece without really stopping. I actually was drawn more to the Ingres, but I love the Picasso painting as well. So I really recommend this exhibition, miniature exhibition, if you're in the vicinity of Trafalgar Square, or if you are in the National Gallery. It's really worth coming to, because this has come all the way from California from the Norton Simon connection, this Picasso painting, and obviously the Ingres is based here in the National Gallery. Don't forget to subscribe to the Art Club and hit that notification bell for more reviews and previews of shows around London, the South East and beyond. And do get out there and keep exploring the wonderful British art scene.